Hello friends and fans of the Canadiens. How are you? In today's video, we'll talk about a very interesting news for fans. Check if you are already subscribed to our channel, so you don't miss any updates we publish here. The Montreal Canadiens have not had the busiest offseason around the National Hockey League. Their 2023-24 opening night roster does not look a lot different from a lineup they could have put together last season. There have been some minor changes, like Mike Hoffman and Rem Pitlick being traded away, and Alex Newhook arriving via trade. Other than that, a lot of the same young players like Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Kirby Dach, Caden Gull, Jordan Harris and Sam Montembeault will play big roles again next season. There were no big free agent signings to boast about, and probably not a single free agent signing that will make the opening night roster. Of course, there is still time, so sign free agents, and there are some interesting ones available even though the month of September has arrived. We have landed at the point on the calendar when an unsigned player is more likely to sign a professional tryout (PTO) and not an actual contract for the upcoming season. That gives them an invitation to training camp, but without the guarantee of being on the team when the regular season begins. The Canadiens have done this before, and it ended up being quite successful. They invited Thomas Fleischmann to training camp in 2015. He signed an actual contract on October 4th, just before the regular season began after impressing in the preseason. He would score 10 goals and 20 points in 57 games as a third-line player, and then get traded, with Dale Weiss, to the Chicago Blackhawks for Philip Denault and a second-round pick that would become Alexander Romanov, who would become a 15th overall pick, which would become Kirby Dach, or something like that. Either way, they added some free depth just before a bad season, and turned it into a good prospect and a second-round pick. Could they do that again this season? There are plenty of options still available. The Montreal Canadiens certainly don't need to add another goaltender to their already crowded crease. Jake Allen and Sam Montembeault will be using training camp to try and prove they should keep their jobs, and not be usurped by Casey DeSmith or Caden Primo. On defense, there are a plethora of young blue liners that will be battling for ice time. Mike Matheson, Caden Gull, Jordan Harris and Arbor Shakaj give the team for options on the left side. David Savard, Jonathan Kovacevic, Justin Barron and Chris Weidman are for players who could play a regular role on the right. Not to mention Gustav Lindstrom, who could find a role. If the Canadiens are going to add another player, it would make the most sense to add someone up front. Having moved out a couple of veterans via trade, and allowed Jonathan Drouin and Denis Gurianov to leave as free agents, they are down a handful of veteran wingers. Jesse Puljujarvi is the type of player that fits what the Canadiens have been building recently. They gave opportunities to high draft picks that had not figured it all out like Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook and Gurianov. They could try again with Puljujarvi. The 25-year-old right winger was a 4th overall draft pick, but hasn't piled up the points in the NHL the way he did in other leagues. He scored just 16 points in 75 games last season, but continues to show excellent analytics and is a smart, defensively aware winger that routinely is on the ice for more scoring chances for than against. He finished last season on the injured reserve, and that situation remains a bit cloudy, but if he is healthy enough to play in September, it would make a lot of sense to bring him in and see if he can play a two-way role and earn a low-income contract for the season. Now, we would like to know your opinion. Considering Jesse Puljujarvi's recovery, do you think he would be useful this season? Comment below your opinion. If you're new here and want to keep up to date with the Habs, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any news about the Canadiens that we publish by Hockey. Until the next video. Go Habs!